Hey guys, hope you are doing great. Today we are gonna talk about 3D Max main toolbar, which is this one. The first two commands are for undo and redo. They are the same as any other softwares. However, if you right click on one of them, you will see a list in which you can choose the step or activity or action you want to go back. Since we didn't do anything here, we don't see it. Let's try to make some adjustments or move and do something with it. Now let's check it again. We have now few steps that we can go back. It's also work for redo and can use for both of them. So the next one is link and unlink. With link one, you can link two objects together and make one of them the parent and the other one the child with this parenting relation. So if you do any change to your parent object, it will affect the child too. But however, the relation is one-way relation, so if you make a change to the child, it won't affect the parent. So if you have to click on the link and select your object and hold and drag and drop your mouse cursor to the parent object. Now you link two objects together. For now, if you move your parent object, it will affect the child too. And if you do like scale, rotation, and this kind of stuff. This also works on animation. For example, let's see. So it is useful in many ways. This one will simply unlink the two objects. So the next one is bend to a space warp. Space warp creates a force field that will deform other objects and create effects like wave, blowing wind, bump, and so on. With bend to a space warp, you can link your object to that field or that space. For example, let's make a space warp to see how it's gonna work. So let's go to the creation tab of command panel and go to a space warp. From this menu, you can choose which category you want to, like select your space warp. For example, let's select a wave. If we click and drag, we can make our field, and if you release your mouse and move it, now you can control the wave. Let's click and right click to get out of that command. However, you have many options here. You can modify your wave field. So let's make another object like a teapot, and let's bend let's bend them together. If as you can see now, the two objects are the teapot. It's getting this waviness effect. So let's do, as you can see, we can make this kind of effects and this kind of fill and bend our object to that fill, so it's just effect to that object. The next one is selection filter. With this one, you can specify the selection to work in a certain category and not affect the other ones. For example, if you in your scene you have geometries, shapes, light, and so on, you can limit your selection to one of these categories. Let's say just to shapes. But however, for example, we have uh, other geometries. Now we can just select the shape. For example, if we go to geometry, we just can select geometry and we cannot select this one. It's very useful if you have a large scene with many objects and you want to select just shape or lines, you can use this one. The next one is select object. It will just help you to select without doing any modification like moving, scaling, this kind of thing. It's just for selection. And the next one is select by name with the shortcut H. If in your scene you have many objects and you can select them by the name. If you, for example, specified a certain name to your object, and you can just easily select it with your select by name window, select from scene. Here, if you find your object, you can also select it from the list, for example. And if you have like many type of shape, like shape, geometry, light, you have cameras, you can filter the selection or just show to, just for example, show you the shapes or just show you the geometries, and you can easily select the object without, if you don't know where the object is. For example, you are somewhere in your large scene, you go to select by name and select your object. Now that it's on selected mode, if you hit Z, it will zoom, extend your object, and boom, you have your object. So the next one is selection region. By default, it's on rectangular shape. So if you click on your viewport and drag it, you can see this kind of shape. It is like rectangular shape, and it will be your selection region. If you click and hold, you will see the other options, like for example circular shape, and we have also font selection. You can do something like that, and we have also lasso, spray. So there you can use them in different situations, but by default it is on rectangular shape. For selecting, we have two modes, window and crossing. For example, if you if your selection region crosses any object, it will be selected. But if you click one time on this icon, if you start your selection region, only the objects that are inside of this window will be selected. So the next one is move command. So now we selected move. If we select our object, the gizmo will appear. The gizmo is it has three axes, X, Y, Z. You can click and hold on one of the axes and start moving your mouse. You can move your object on that axis. However, if you want to move in two directions at the same time, for example, X and Y, you can come here in this rectangular area and click and start moving. You can also go to this tool or this tool. But however, if you want to move to all directions at the same time, you can click on the middle of the gizmo and start moving in every directions. At the bottom of 3D Max main UI, we have some input boxes. You will see some letters in front of them. They are our axes X, Y, Z. Here, if you put a number, you can move your object along that axis with the amount or value that you wanted. For example, 1 meter here. And if you see this spinners here, if you right click on them, it will clear the input and reset it to default value, and there you are. It is a useful trick. So you can put any number, any value, and it will go to that direction. And also, if you right click on this icon, you will have this menu, or you can also, if you also press F12, the menu will appear. We have two options here, absolute world, offset world. Absolute worldwide is the location of your object in 3D Max worldwide viewport. With this, you can specify a value or a point in on the grid that you want to be. With this, you can specify a certain point on the grid, for example, 1, 2, 1, this kind of stuff. It is the value or location the worldwide viewport of 3D Max. Offset world, on the other hand, it doesn't matter where your object is. You can move it from that point with a specific value. For example, I want to move it from this point to 1 meter in X axis, and I don't know which location this is. So this is also a useful thing. If you select rotation or scale, the shape of Gizmo will change, but the basics are the same. You have the axis, and you can use these inputs from the bottom, and you can use this menu, and you can do all the things that you could do to moving. You can do it also here, and for scale also you can do that. However, you have other option is that you can scale it by percentage. Also, these are percent for the scale. We were working on percent. This is 100% of your object. If you want to double it, you have to put 200 and so on. This one is select and place. You can simply select your object and move it without limits. And yeah, if you can use it with the snap tool. So when you select your object, the gizmo is at the bottom center of your geometry. Let's see if we can change it or not. For example, when it's here, you can, if you want to scale it, it will start scaling from the bottom. So if you go to your command panel and to hierarchy tab, you can hit active pivot only. Now you can change the pivot point, for example, to center of object or reset, or even just move your pivot point everywhere whenever you want. Now if you hit it again, it will be deactive. Now if you scale your object, you will be scaling from here. So you can again come here and hit reset, and it will go to your default. In 3ds Max, we have also transform toolbar. You can access it from edit, transform toolbar. From here, in the align pivot section, you can align your pivot to minimum, maximum in the X, Y, Z direction, or center, origin of X, Y, Z direction. Let's see, for example, like this. If you want to make it into center of in every direction, you can do that. You can go to origin, which is the point of your grid. So this can come back off the center of your object. You have this transform toolbar is very useful. You have the rotation. You can rotate. You have some degrees you can choose from, more or less. You can change the size of your object. You can know what exactly the size of your object is. For example, if we get size, if we hit this one, get size of object. Now this is the size of our object, which is somehow weird numbers. If you want it to be like rounded numbers, you can put some numbers here. For example, let's set this number or all, but it's more Z direction. Or 8. So this size is giving us the size of the bounding box. How you can see the bounding box if you hit Shift J, you can see the bounding box of your object. Now this size is the size of the bounding box. Now let's right click on scale or hit W. As you can see, it is no longer 100%. You change the bounding box, but this one it didn't reset and didn't recalculate the bounding box, and this will cause some problem if you export your object to other softwares. Maybe you will face some problems. If you go to settings, reset xform, reset selected. Now as you can see, they are 100%. If we go to the modify, we see that we have a modifier for reset xform. So it is very useful, especially when you want to export your object to other softwares. So now let's talk about a new feature that 3D Max 2023 offers us: a snap working pivot. You can access that by going tools, snap working pivot. Here, if you click on the top edge of this menu, you can snap here. And also you have it in your right click menu. You have all the options here, and also if you right click in the empty space of your toolbar, you can select the snap working pivot tool. Now you have also the toolbar here. So let's see, let's make some modification to make it more interesting. So if you select place working pivot, also you have the shortcut. You can place your pivot point on the surface aligned to this surface. So if you click and release, it will automatically align your pivot point. But if you click and hold, you can rotate your pivot point. As you can see, if you move your object moves, but pivot point is still on the same spot. Now if you hit selection pivot, it will go back to that object. If you hit align working pivot, you can rotate the pivot point or align it to this one edge that you are interested. If you hit reset working pivot, it will be again independent, and you can like move other object of your scene and move it from that point. For example, rotate it from that point. Align pivot to working pivot. It will adjust the pivot to the current position and orientation of the working pivot. As you can notice, we are doing all of this are happening in working pivot system, like placing, selection, rotation, align, and reset, all of this. If you come here and select view, it will go to the default system of 3ds Max pivot, which is z-axis is always on the top. We have also others coordination system, which we will talk about in a few minutes. Place pivot point bounding box. What it do is, for example, if you are in placing mode, it will give you additional point, 24 more points to place or snap your pivot point, for example here. So it is very handy if you want additional point to work with. Now here is a cool thing, is create grid from working pivot. Now we have a pivot here, and we can start working on for this grid. For example, if I want to make a circle on my grid, I can do it. Let's see. It is very cool and very handy, and also this one will make a helper point, which it is cool and handy. You can use it to snap or anything that you want. If you change the pivot point now, it will stay here. If I, for example, if I want to place this object to this point, it is going just to one axis. So I have to tell you something. As you notice, I wanted to move this object, but it was just moving in the Z direction. If you click in one like axis, it will just move on that axis. If you click on these two and start moving, it will move on that axis. So sometimes you want that if you click on 3 of them and you don't want it to like accidentally change them, you can turn off the Gizmo temporarily and start working. And now if I'm gonna move it, I will be moving it in every direction without the Gizmo interfering, because if I accidentally select this one, I will be just moving in this direction. And also if you want to just move in this one and you don't want to mess it up, you can turn it off. But this shortcut shift X, I put that, if you want to, in few versions earlier, it was the shortcut X, but now it is for global search. So if you want to make a shortcut for this, you can go to customize hotkey editor. Let's see Gizmo and transfer Gizmo toggle. I specified shift X for this one. So it is very handy and you will be needing it. In the coordination system, um, as we talked, we have view, screen. What screen does is it will orient the pivot point to a screen, whatever you move or orbit. In your report, it stuck. The gizmo will stuck with the view. So we have word, we have parent, local. So before this working pivot, we used to work with local. As you can see, it is oriented to the face of the objects. So let's go to view. This one, what it does, the first one will use the pivot point center. The second one will go to the center of our object. I mean the gizmo will go to the center of object, and the last one will use our transform coordination system. So this was for the pivot point. It's finished now. The next one is select and manipulate. If you active select and manipulate, you won't see anything because you have to be in edit mode to see some options. Let's make a plane and let's see how it's gonna work. Let's add some segment and let's add edit poly modifier and set 1h. Now we have select and manipulate. So if you hit this one, it will shift your selection to the loop, and this one will shift it in a ring. If you hold control, it will add to your selection, and now if you release the control, it will shift all of your selection. Sometimes maybe it is useful, but I personally never used it. This one is keyboard shortcut override. There are two kind of shortcuts in 3ds Max. The one which you are in the main UI, and there are some when you are in edit mode, and you can, they are with the same key with when you are in the main UI. For example, let's go to the hotkeys. Let's go to material editor. Let's search in hotkeys. For example, A. So it is assign material to selection. So let's go to the material editor and make a new material, select this object and hit A. As you can see, it's not assigning the material. Instead, the angular snap is activating. Let's search again, angular snap, assign material. And we have this in few categories. So what we can do is we can activate this one. Now if we are in our material editor and select it A, the shortcut that is specifically were made for material editor will work and not the global shortcut. If you turn it off, the global shortcut will start working again. So that was this. So the next one is snap. This one is 3D snap. For example, if let me make an object. Now I can snap in 3D world and move my object wherever I want in 3D world. If you click and hold, you see the other option. This one is 2D snap. It will work just for X and Y axis and to want to work on Z axis. The next one is 2.5 snap. It will allow us to snap in 3D dimension, but we can create in 2D grid. Snap on 3D, but make on 2D. So as you can see, they are not in the same direction or orientation. Let's go to left, or let's see, front. Yeah. So now let's try to make a line in this 3D dimension. As you can see, we were snapping in 3D space, but we have a line drawn in 2D grid. It's very useful. The next one is angular snap or angle snap. It's mostly work with rotation. Now if you start to rotate your object, you are freely rotating, but if you want to rotate with a certain angle, you have to active this snap, and if you right click, you can specify which angle to snap. For example, 10 degree. Now we are snapping in each 10 degree. So the next one is percentage, and obviously it's gonna work for scaling. As you can see, we are snapping with each percent. If you turn it off, you are doing it already. If you right click, you can see here we were snapping in each 10%. Let's make it 20 and see. It's off, on. This is also very handy and useful. And the next one is snipper snap tagger. And what it does, as you can see here, we have this snipper, and when it's off, it's going like randomly increasing or decreasing. Let's see in the setting, snipper is on 10. So what that is mean? It means that if you active this one, it will add 10 value to this current value. You can see now we are going with each 10 value. This snipper we have it everywhere. It will work everywhere. However, if you click and hold and move your mouse, it's not working. But if you start clicking, it will start affecting. So the next one is selection set. Well, selection set makes selection sets. So let's try, let's see what that mean even. So I'm gonna make some objects like 10 copies. I'm gonna select them and go to manage selection set. I'm gonna create a new set. I'm gonna name it box. I'm gonna add all this box to that selection set. Now let's see, we did some modification, change them, like take them other ways. For example, let's say they are trees or something. So you want to select them all, but now it's not very easy to do that. But if you come here from the list and select box, yeah, you have all of them selected. That was easy. So the next one is mirror. So first of all, you have to select your object, then select mirror. We have transform and we have geometry. We usually use transform. Geometry won't mirror word space modifiers. If it is suitable if you want to mirror your object, but you want a non-mirrored word space modifier. So you can mirror in x-axis, y-axis, z-axis, or both xy, zy, zx. Let's go device 7. You can specify the distance that you want to make this copy. Let's say 1 meter. You can choose no clone, which means no copy. You can choose copy. You can choose instance, which is interchangeable copy of your original object, which means if you add some modifiers or change to your original object, it will change it is the two-way relations. It will change both of them. Let's see. Okay, for example, I'm just changing this one. We have two-way relation, and if you want to like make one of them unique and not like without this relation, you can right click and make unit. Now we don't have that relation. So the last one was reference. Reference is a one-way instance. It means that If you change something to the parent, you add a modifier to the parent, it will pass to the linked referenced object. But if you add a modifier to the referenced object, it won't be passed to the original object. Let's see. Now, if we add a modifier here, it's not passing to the original one. But if we add one here, look, we have two of them. So the next one is align. With align, you can actually align two objects together. For example, I'm selecting this one, and with align, I'm going to select the bottom one. Now we can choose to align just in one direction, for example Z, and let's say minimum of our current object and minimum of that of the target object. Now they are overlapping. If I change it to maximum, it's on top. But if I change this one to maximum, this one to minimum, it will go to the bottom of object. So it is very useful when we want to align. We have some other options, and if you hit apply, now you can do another align from this position. For example, let's align it on Y axis, minimum maximum here. If you apply, and again you can align in Z position centers. So it is cool. The next one actually is Scene Explorer. What it does, it is show you every object that you have in your scene. You can filter them, and you can select them, delete them, hide them, whatever you want. It is very powerful and useful, and you can like tag it here. If you have a large monitor, it's very useful. And you have also the layers. You can create layers, modify, add object to layers, and you can tag it here. So for example, I'm gonna like make a new layer, layer 1. So now this is our active layer. I had this object selected. When I hit create, it created and automatically moved the object to that layer. For example, let's select another one, this one, hit create. It will create and move the object. If you want to create without moving, you can select nothing and create. You can and then select some of them and drag and drop them inside of the layer, or you can use this add to active layer. Now this one or active layer, if you turn on this one, now this is our active layer, and here we can move into our active layer, and we have many other options in this layer thing. I have the toolbar here. You can use the toolbar layers. You can active it here, and it is very useful. So this one will show and hide the ribbons, which I did hide them because it will give me more space with my viewport. If you need it, like in your if you are modeling and something like that, you will have some options. Otherwise, you can just turn it off and your scene will be bigger. You have curve editor, which is a graph based editor for animation, and you have also Schematic View, which is like a node based scene explorer. You can make a relation between objects, select them, and this kind of stuff. You have access to like everything in your scene, materials like object and this kind of stuff. You have the material editor. On the left side you have the maps and material. You have the viewport, which is a node base. For example, I don't know if you just want to go there. For example, let's say, I don't know, advanced or something like that. For example, you can add all of material, and you can add like another things here. Cool node based material editor, and on the right, if you click on each material or each menu, you see the settings. If I double click on this one, I have something this setting. If I double click on this one, I have them here. And also we have older version of material editor, which is a compact one. If you are working with a complex scene and you want to see your material, you can use this one, which is still very popular. I personally don't like it, but a lot of people actually using 3D Max for this one because it's very handy working like complex scenes. But I use the slot material editor. We have the render setting. We can specify our render engine, and we have all the settings of our render. Uh, and we have our like render frame or frame buffer of our render. This one is for 3D Max itself. You have one for example, I have Corona render installed. This is frame buffer of Corona. If you have V-Ray, it is different. And if you hit this one, it will start rendering. And if you click and hold, you can have interactive rendering and this kind of stuff and many other things. So hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe to keep up with our new stuff.